Hello everyone, welcome to the Buzz the Prey Manga. Today we continue the latest Global Freeze chapter, rewritten and edited by me in English for a smooth reading experience. All visuals and story flow are personally edited to give you the best manga style storytelling. Support the original creator by checking the official manga. So let's dive right into the today's chapter.
Chapter 2798 The Tooth Clan 2A A despairing thought exploded in their minds. Annihilation. They sent 4 pillars of their tribe, for Black Knights standing at the pinnacle of the world's pyramid, and their entire army was wiped out. Run. Run. Without any hesitation, without any thought of revenge. These schemers, who were just dreaming of promotion, were now like cats whose tails had been stepped on. They didn't even bother to hide themselves and turned into streaks of light, frantically fleeing in all directions. Even the Black Knights are all dead. What can these people do if they stay behind, except send themselves to their deaths? At the same time, outside Anchi City, the representatives of the Earthworm Clan, Skywing Clan, and Tooth Clan, who had been mocking and watching the show, now had their mouths agape, their jaws practically dropping to the ground. The proud Sky Wyvern now folded its wings, hunched its neck, and hid behind like a quail. The arrogant, burly man from the Ngung tribe had cold sweat pouring down his forehead. He quietly took a few steps back, afraid of attracting Zhang Yi's attention. What happened before was actually seen by many ethnic groups. The 4 tribes set up a trap outside Anxiang City, and no one else was blind. However, as the saying goes, everyone is watching coldly, waiting to see the show, and no one is too lazy to participate. While others are fighting, they haven't suffered any losses, and they might even have a chance to reap the benefits. However, they had considered many possible outcomes, but none of them were like the one before them. Zhang Yi's death was reasonable, given that the 4 Black Knights had joined forces. It's not surprising that Zhang Yi escaped. After all, he's a master of escape. The 4 Black Knights surrounded and defeated him, but surely they could escape? Who would plot to kill someone and end up getting themselves killed instead? However, when the most unlikely possibility actually comes true, it is truly shocking. Zhang Yi ignored the fleeing ants and the awe-inspiring gazes around him. He simply dusted himself off and walked with light steps toward Yang Xinxin and the others. Chaos. King Arthur and Morgan and the others immediately went to meet them, their worry turning into deep shock. They could clearly sense that Zhang Yi at this moment was like an unstable humanoid black hole. The space around him was slightly distorted, as if even the world was rejecting the excessively large energy within him. What exactly happened? King Arthur lowered his voice, a slight tremor in it, and asked, "That red space, and those people who laid the ambush." "Oh, it's nothing serious." Zhang Yi waved his hand casually, as if he were just saying that he had bought a bread at the convenience store. "There are 4 thieving Black Knights who think my things are pretty good and want to borrow them." 4 Black Knights. Upon hearing this number, everyone present, including the king of the Deep Blue Kingdom, couldn't help but gasp. That's the Black Knight. Currently, among the extraordinary beings on Earth, he is almost the most top-tier existence. For people working together, even setting up a trap zone, still couldn't kill Zhang Yi? Then, where are they? Benjamin Morgan swallowed hard and asked cautiously. Zhang Yi stopped, turned around, and looked at the representatives of the distant race who were eavesdropping. A chilling smirk curled at the corner of his lips, and a strange red light flashed in his eyes. Them. Zhang Yi patted his stomach and said in a low voice, "They have transformed into the purest essence and merged into my body. The taste is not bad." Hiss. At that moment, countless gasps of breath echoed outside Anchi City. The giant earthworm from the worm tribe was so frightened that it burrowed deep into the ground, trembling with fear. The Skywing clan flew directly to an altitude of 10,000 meters, daring not to land. The strong man from the Guy tribe collapsed to the ground, his legs going weak. They've killed him. He actually killed all 4 Black Knights. This isn't chaos at all. It's practically a ferocious beast in human skin. Yang Xinxin's smile deepened as she watched the scene. She knew that after this battle, Zhang Yi's fame would no longer be limited to the human race. From this day forward, in the eyes of all the races of Earth, chaos Zhang Yi will be a name synonymous with death and taboo. No one dared to underestimate them anymore. No one dared to provoke them anymore. This is how you establish authority. Zhang Yi glanced indifferently at his surroundings. It was almost time for the meeting, so he said to the group, "Let's go." The group followed Zhang Yi and headed towards the inner city of Anqi. Anqi City, this magnificent city hailed as heaven on earth, finally opened its platinum gate, carved with countless scenes of Holy Spirit hymns, to Zhang Yi and his companions. Anzur, the earthly kingdom, standing on the Nordic ice plains, finally revealed its breathtaking true form after everyone passed through the energy barrier called the Gate of Heaven. If Huashu Kingdom's Tianhai City is a world-class fortress forged by steel and will, then Anqi City is a grand dream woven with light, shadow, and mathematics. The entire city is not entirely situated on the ground. Rather, it is suspended in the air, hundreds of meters above the ground, in an inverted cone shape. Several large anti-gravity beams of light, like the fingers of a deity, steadily supported this colossal object. The city's main color scheme is pure white and gold, but this is not ordinary paint. Instead, it is a special material made of a high-density shape memory metal and bioceramics, holy silver. Not only is it indestructible, but it can also absorb free solar energy at the microscopic level, constantly emitting a soft, sacred, and non-glaring light. Here, the boundaries between theology and science are completely erased, or more accurately, they return to their essential unity. In this world where a creator undoubtedly exists, theology is no longer considered ignorance or superstition, but rather the highest level of analysis of the ultimate truth of the universe, the will and rules of the creator. Science is nothing more than a clumsy imitation of human attempts to reverse-engineer divine methods using formulas. The winged people have clearly reached the far end of this path. Zhang Yi saw that the towering Gothic spires lining both sides of the street were actually sophisticated quantum signal transmission towers. The shimmering symbol atop the tower is not merely decoration. It is a high-energy particle aggregator that vibrates at a specific frequency, transforming the spiritual power called faith into tangible energy, which is then transmitted to every corner of the city via a visible golden light path. An ethereal echo, like a sacred hymn, floated in the air, sung by monks, while the city's energy shield resonated with the Earth's magnetic field, generating melodious sound waves. Chapter 2799 The meeting of 10,000 races against the enemy when the sky was empty of those flying machines that spewed out black smoke. Countless winged warriors clad in silver-white armor soared into the sky. The feathers on their backs were not merely flesh and blood. Pale blue plasma flowed between the gaps in each feather. This is the perfect fusion of bioengineering and aerodynamics, the photon-driven wings, which allows them to gracefully patrol this airspace at supersonic speeds. In the city, the magnificent All Souls Church floats at the highest point. It is constructed entirely of transparent, crystal-like material. Inside, there are no divine statues, only an enormous, slowly rotating golden light brain, like a star. Countless data streams transformed into golden scriptures, swirling and dancing around the quantum computer. Here, prayer is the input of commands, and miracles are the execution of programs. This is the first generation of civilization. Professor Leonardo da Vinci pushed up his glasses, and his usually lifeless eyes suddenly blazed with unprecedented fervor and awe as he gazed at everything with an almost greedy intensity. So beautiful, it's practically perfect violent aesthetics. They've materialized the concept of God into controllable physical rules. Here, faith isn't some vague solace, but a highly efficient, clean, and renewable bioenergy source. In their eyes, the creator is the super programmer who wrote the underlying code of the universe. And they are the managers who are closest to the source code. As Zhang Yi walked on this radiant and dazzling path, the pavement beneath his feet sensed his footsteps and automatically rippled with golden waves. He took a deep breath, feeling the almost liquefied concentration of spiritual particles in the air, and couldn't help but sigh. This is Ansel City, a miraculous city where theological flesh and blood are supported by a scientific framework, an ultimate example of civilization that empirically transforms superstition into truth. They walked on a path of light, the ground beneath their feet made of a special material that shimmered and shimmered, each step creating ripples of light. The moment Zhang Yi stepped into the city, the previously bustling air seemed to freeze instantly. Tens of thousands of eyes, whether from proud winged warriors, devout human believers, or representatives of other ancient races, were all focused on this man. That look in his eyes was extremely complex. Just tens of minutes earlier, when Zhang Yi and his group had arrived, the winged human servants who were responsible for receiving them, though courteous, could not hide the arrogance and aloofness in their eyes towards the lower, short-lived species. But now, everything has changed. Because that red space shattered. Because the once invincible Black Knight didn't even leave behind his remains. Your Excellency Chaos, representatives of the 6th generation of humanity, please follow me. A high-ranking attendant of the winged race with winged feet quickly came to greet them. He bent down deeply, his head, which had always been held high, now drooped low, and he didn't even dare to look Zhang Yi in the eye. His voice trembled slightly, a tremor born of instinctive awe for the strong. I am the deacon in charge of receiving you all, named Loison. The archangel has been waiting in the temple for quite some time. Zhang Yi glanced at him indifferently and simply nodded casually. Hard work. His calm and composed demeanor made it seem as if he hadn't just experienced a life-or-death battle, but rather was simply enjoying a leisurely stroll in the countryside. The group walked along the wide, white streets of Anshi City. The architecture here is extremely unique, blending Gothic spires with a streamlined design reminiscent of crystal technology. Everywhere you look, there are visible light element particles floating around. You can feel a cool sensation in your lungs with every breath. Yes, are you a member of the Dragon Clan? As Zhang Yi walked, he asked the question in a seemingly casual manner. The winged deacon immediately replied respectfully. Your Excellency, the Dragon Clan's representative has arrived. However, he paused, his tone becoming somewhat subtle. The current all-races conference has not yet officially begun. The representatives of the superior races at the top of the pyramid, namely the dragon race, our winged race, and the Tyrannosaurus race, are currently holding a small-scale closed-door meeting in the inner hall. Only after the people of the Ngung have reached a conclusion will all races be summoned to hold a formal Ngung meeting in the central square. Upon hearing this, the expressions of King Arthur, Morgan, Saladin, and the others following behind Zhang Yi all darkened. The group exchanged glances, all secretly harboring resentment. The so-called all races gathering to defend against enemies was, in a nice way, a gathering of wisdom and effort from all nations. In reality, only a small group of super races standing at the pinnacle of power can truly determine the course of the world. The remaining hundreds of minor races, including the current 6th generation of humans, are nothing more than filler listeners or cannon fodder to carry out orders. It seems that, in any era, the common people are always the strongest. Benjamin Morgan toyed with the ancient gold coin in his hand and chuckled softly. The small meeting sets the tone, and the big meeting goes through the motions. I know this process very well. Zhang Yi was not surprised by this. This world is one where might makes right. If 6 generations do not demonstrate sufficient strength, they may not even be qualified to enter the city. Just then, Zhang Yi's private communication channel vibrated slightly. It was an encrypted message sent by Yang Xinxin. Zhang Yi slightly turned her head and gave Yang Xinxin, who was next to her, a subtle look. Clearly, some things are only meant for private conversations between two people and are not suitable for King Arthur and others to hear. Zhang Yi glanced at the message she sent. Xin. Brother Zhang Yi, besides that space-type Noin, which other races participated in the ambush against you in the Red Silk Realm? Xin. I'm going to write down all their names. I won't let any of them who dare touch my brother get away with it. Even if I can't now, I'll make Li Jian plant them all in the ground as fertilizer later. Looking at the words on the screen, a warm feeling welled up in Zhang Yi's heart. No matter how strong the enemy, this adorable, Yandera younger sister is always his strongest support and his sharpest hidden blade. Zhang Yi twitched his fingers slightly and replied to Yang Xinxin directly using brainwaves. Zhang Yi, a remnant of the Titan race named Karen. Also, there are vampires, spider demons, and Norns. A total of number missing. Yang Xinxin read the reply, and a cold smile appeared on her lips. Although she didn't speak, Zhang Yi could sense that these races had already been marked in red on her kill list. Zhang Yi suddenly felt as if he had always been in a state of war, and there was always someone who wanted his life. Chapter 2800 The Great Assembly of 10,000 Races Against Enemies too. But isn't this also the current situation of every race in this era and in this universe? Zhang Yi gently patted her shoulder and whispered, "Don't worry, I'll remember this. I'll nip it in the bud. That's my principle." As he spoke, he glanced around. In the territory of the feathered tribe, which is like a divine kingdom, the must first conceal its sharpness. But now, this is the territory of the Feather Clan, and we are surrounded by powerful forces. We can't be too arrogant. Let's pretend nothing happened and lull them into a false sense of security. When we possess absolute overwhelming power, or when we find the right opportunity in the starry sky corridor. A ruthless glint flashed in Zhang Yi's eyes. I will show them what true cruelty is. Just as everyone was about to cross the outer city and enter the core area, each with their own thoughts. Hey, brother Zhang Yi. Over here, I have a friend I'd like to introduce you to. A loud, metallic voice suddenly came from the side, breaking the silence of the group. Zhang Yi turned his head and saw King Jin of the Deep Blue Kingdom waving his enormous mechanical pincers, greeting someone enthusiastically. Beside the always cheerful sponge Prince Matsuri, the melancholy octopus General Yu, and the adorable Patrick Naromi, there were three other rather peculiar figures. Those were three creatures wearing specially made deep-sea survival suits. Their battle suits looked very thick, with a thin film of water flowing on the surface, seemingly to simulate the high-pressure environment of the deep sea. Two of the heads were completely encased in transparent helmets filled with liquid. Through the liquid, their bodies could be vaguely seen to have a semi-transparent gelatinous appearance, with shimmering nerve networks inside resembling bioluminescent jellyfish. They walked over from a distance, and it seemed that they had a good relationship with old Jean the Crab. They should be sea creatures, but they also come from Atlantis. Zhang Yi is very familiar with them. That's the Abyss Clan? Lu Karen, who was standing nearby, said in a low voice, I've seen it in the database. They live in extremely deep places like the Mariana Trench. Their body structure is very special, and it's difficult for them to adapt to terrestrial environments. The Abyss Clan are soft-bodied creatures capable of withstanding the immense pressure of being thousands of meters deep in the ocean, possessing naturally extremely powerful physiques. Once on land, they need to use a suit similar to a spacesuit to avoid their bodies exploding from the inside. However, the one who attracts the most attention is the one in the lead. He wasn't wearing a helmet, his head was exposed. The skin of the creature is a deep bluish-black color, covered with fine, obsidian-like scales. There are several gill slits on both sides of the neck that are opening and closing, but this does not prevent the bird from breathing freely in the air. S eyes had no whites. They were a deathly, abyssal blue. This aura is extremely powerful, even weaker than that of a typical Black Knight. When the difference reaches a certain level, evolution at the level of life will occur. For example, Uncle Yu's body can explode in space due to the pressure difference. The powerful member of the Sea Abyss clan before them was clearly a physically formidable individual. Come, Brother Chaos, let me introduce you to something. Jean, acting as if they were old friends, pulled Zhang Yi over and pointed at the dark-skinned man, saying, This is the strongest member of the Abyss clan and a fierce general of the Deep Sea Alliance, Shunfeng. Zhang Yi looked at the fish with a strange expression, secretly wondering if this guy was known for his speed. Brother Shunfeng, this is the one I told you about, the most business-savvy. Oh, the strongest genus on land, chaos. Shunfeng lowered his head slightly, his deep blue eyes scrutinizing Zhang Yi for a moment, and then he extended a hand covered in scales with fingertips as sharp as knives. I admire your great name, Chaos Pavilion. Xuanfeng's voice was somewhat moist and hoarse, like the sound of bubbles bursting in water. To be able to escape unscathed from the encirclement of 4 Black Knights and even turn the tables on the entire battlefield, your skill has earned the respect of the Sea Abyss clan. Clearly, while ordinary people may know the details of what happened outside the city, it's no secret to top-tier experts like them. He stared at Zhang Yi with sincere eyes, looking like a reliable and dependable person. After all, King Jin and Zhang Yi had a very good relationship, and the Deep Blue Kingdom provided great assistance in the Huashu Kingdom's war against the Wulwan Empire. My friend Zhang Yi will give me some face. Zhang Yi reached out and shook hands with. The touch was cool, slippery, and as hard as iron. Shunfeng Pavilion, you're too kind. Zhang Yi smiled and said, I hope we can get along well in the future. Shuang exchanged a few simple pleasantries. Through conversation, Zhang Yi learned that the Abyss clan and the Deep Blue Empire had a very close relationship. On this planet, where the sea area has expanded several times over, the Deep Blue Kingdom enjoys such a transcendent status simply because they are wealthy and technologically advanced. The more important reason is that they are guarding the Deep Sea Seal of Mammon. Mammon is a legendary, greedy beast that can devour the 7 seas. Once it breaks free, the entire marine ecosystem will collapse. The Deep Blue Kingdom has taken this as its mission for generations, adhering to absolute pacifism and a defensive strategy, thus becoming a recognized neutral zone among the major civilizations of the ocean. The Abyss clan, a warrior race of the deep sea, are the most steadfast allies of the Deep Blue Kingdom, responsible for assisting in suppressing the deep sea monsters that attempt to break the seal. Bishon Castle is the safest city in the ocean. If you ever live on land again, you are welcome to visit. Prince Ji chimed in with a grin, his supple body swaying back and forth inside his battle suit. That's right. General Yu still wore a world-weary expression, his 4 tentacles crossed over his chest. Although the air on land is full of dust and lies, you guys are still pleasing to the eye. Looking at these strange creatures from the deep sea, Zhang Yi felt a sense of goodwill towards them. Compared to those ancient land races full of scheming and plotting, these marine creatures seem to be more pure. I will definitely visit you often when I have time in the future. Just then, the palace gates of the former palace slowly opened. A solemn, sacred, and immensely oppressive energy surged forth from it. The Feather Clan steward turned around and said solemnly, Gentlemen, the internal meeting has concluded. The Archangel and the high-ranking officials of various races invite you to join us. Zhang Yi straightened his collar, his gaze becoming deep. The representatives calmed their breathing and prepared to attend the meeting. Chapter 2801 Strength Determines Status 1 Crossing the Heavenly Gate, which symbolizes the absolute safety boundary. The suffocating murderous aura of the outside world seemed to be completely isolated in another world. Inside Anshi City, order was so perfect it was almost cold. Here, no one dares to commit violence openly. Even the release of a malicious aura will be instantly detected by the city's surveillance system. Even the volatile beasts of the Tyrannosaurus clan, or the sinister ghosts of the Nightmare clan, all sheathed their fangs and obediently followed the rules set by the feathered people. After all, on this special day, under the watchful eyes of all races, anyone who dares to cause trouble in Anshi City is openly slapping the face of the feathered people. That would not only mean forging a deadly alliance with a 4th-generation godlike civilization, but would also lead to being labeled as sabotaging the great cause of resisting the enemy and becoming the target of public criticism. Led by the winged human deacon, Zhang Yi and his group passed through the brightly lit streets and arrived at a magnificent building located in the heart of the city, the Great Hall of the Council of All Spirits. This is a shaped circular auditorium that can accommodate 100,000 people. The entire structure is made of transparent crystal and white holy silver. The dome at the top is not a solid object. It uses holographic projection technology to simulate the starry sky in real time, making all attendees feel as if they are in the heart of the universe. When Zhang Yi and the others entered the auditorium, it was already bustling with noise. Thousands of floating platforms were arranged in a staggered pattern around the circular hall, and they were filled with representatives of races from all corners of Earth with all sorts of strange appearances. Some are shaped like Mount Go, covered in jagged rocks. Some were only the size of a palm, their bodies crackling with electric arcs. Others are simply an amorphous fog or liquid. This conference is much larger in scale than the first all-races conference 7 years ago. Many previously unknown races, some even hidden deep within the earth or the ocean, have been forced to reveal themselves by this cataclysmic crisis. Please follow me, everyone. The winged deacon led everyone onto a small, suspended platform. However, as the platform moved, the expressions on King Arthur's and Morgan's faces grew increasingly grim. Because the platform did not move towards the central area, which has a wide view and symbolizes status, it slowly drifted towards the outermost part of the auditorium, that is, the so-called back corner. That position was reserved for minor, insignificant groups or vassal races. Is this your way of treating guests? King Arthur gripped the hilt of his sword, his voice low and suppressed. We represent 6 generations of human civilization, the nominal current masters of this planet. The winged deacon stopped, a professional, apologetic smile on his face, but the smile was not very warm. I am very sorry, Your Majesty Arthur. The seating arrangement is based on the overall level of civilization and the historical heritage of the race. In the ranking system of all races, 6th-generation humans, forgive me for speaking frankly, are indeed still in the initial stage. This is not directed at you. It is just our rule. Reality is just that cruel. In the eyes of those ancient civilizations that have been passed down for tens of thousands or even millions of years, the 6 generations of people, with their short lifespans, weak personalities, and having just learned to use supernatural abilities, were indeed at the lowest status, and were even regarded as the failed experiments of the Creator. The class status of the entire ethnic group will not be instantly changed because of Zhang Yi's outstanding strength as an individual. Oh, the rules? Zhang Yi chuckled lightly, not angry at all, and simply straightened his sleeves casually. He didn't care much about the so-called seating arrangement, but he didn't like how other ethnic groups treated their 6th generation. When the previous 6 generations were weak, they looked down on those 6 generations. Now that Zhang Yi has risen to prominence and the power of the 6th generation has greatly increased, they still look down on the 6th generation. Didn't Zhang Yi and the others improve their strength for nothing? Just then, a golden streak of light flew down from the upper levels of the auditorium and landed directly in front of Zhang Yi and the others on the platform. That was a high-ranking angel clad in golden armor and possessing 6 wings, the Angel of Authority. He didn't even glance at the winged deacon, but instead gave Zhang Yi a slight bow, performing a gesture of respect usually reserved for those of equal strength. Lord Chaos, I am Ram, the Chief of Security for the No Tournament. Ram's loud voice instantly attracted the attention of countless races around him. We are already aware of what happened outside the city. Your feat of single-handedly slaying 4 treacherous Black Knights is truly astounding and has cleared away any gloom for the upcoming tournament. The strong deserve to be treated like the strong. With that, Ram snapped his fingers. Buzz. The floating platform beneath Zhang Yi and the others instantly lit up with golden light, and the original gray base, which symbolized the lowest class, turned into a noble purple gold. Then, under the watchful eyes of everyone, the platform soared over the heads of countless minor races and flew straight to the central area of the auditorium. That is the 2nd tier, second only to top-tier forces such as the Dragon Clan and the Winged People. The winged deacon stood frozen in place, his back instantly soaked with cold sweat. The racial representatives around him, who had been watching the 6 generations of people make fools of themselves, now stared wide-eyed, like ducks with their necks being choked, unable to utter a single word for a long time. This is reality. Zhang Yi sat comfortably in his chair, looking down at the myriad races, casting awe, envy, and suspicion upon him, and said calmly to his companion beside him, "Dignity is not given by others, it is earned through our own fists." The platform came to a steady stop in the central area. Zhang Yi's gaze began to sweep over the core circle. Those sitting here are the true overlords of Earth. He saw the burly Tyrannosaurus Rex representative, the Nightmare Clan elder radiating a chilling aura, and the Dragon Clan elder, who had accompanied the clan's higher-ups, giving him a slight nod. Suddenly, Zhang Yi's gaze fixed on a very special area in the front row. It was very quiet there, even deserted. Two figures, clad in exquisite armor and exuding a cool and aloof aura, sat quietly, seemingly out of place in the noisy world around them. On the left is a person wearing streamlined silver-white armor, with long hair cascading down like a waterfall, exuding the aura of a bright moon. The person on the right is dressed in a jet-black, open-work armor, with a deep and restrained aura, like a black hole that devours light. That is... A hint of surprise flashed in Zhang Yi's eyes. The third Silver Moon General of the Silver Moon Empire, Radiant Silverspin, and the fourth Black Moon Priest of the Dark Moon Empire, Nightmare Moon Ashfeather. Luna. This mysterious race, which hardly participates in Earth's affairs and has always been high in the sky, has actually sent people here.
Alright, that's it for today's chapter. Tell me in the comments which part you enjoyed the most. If you love manga style stories, don't forget to like the video and subscribe the Post-apocalyptic Manga. See you in the next chapter with more surprises. Thank you.